Okay, so picture this. You're in a control room, a stadium, a live broadcast, and the system goes down. Total silence. That's a catastrophe. And today, we're diving into the tech that stops that from happening, focusing on one specific little box, the tvONE CM-4RPS.
Exactly. And this product, it's a perfect case study. It really gets into the tension between needing very specialized hardware and, the tough realities of the tech life cycle. Our sources for this are mostly from a vendor, HGTV supply product specs, pricing, that sort of thing. And our mission is really to understand redundancy. This unit, the CM-4RPS, is a redundant power supply unit, a PSU.
PSU, right.
And it's specifically for what are called 4RU series units, the standard 7-inch tall racks that hold all the core AV gear.
So when we talk about redundancy, most people think of a simple backup. But in these kinds of high-stakes environments, got to be more than that, right? The switch has to be instant.
Instant is the key word. It's not just about, keeping the lights on. It's about maintaining a perfect signal. The redundant PSU is always on. It's always on standby. And if that primary power fails for any reason,
It kicks in.
it has to switch over in less than a millisecond. We're talking 0 frame drops, no signal interruption at all. That's the reliability the market demands.
Okay, speaking of reliability, I'm looking at the documentation here, and it says, this is user installable. Hang on. User installable for a mission-critical system. Does it say what kind of user they're expecting?
Well, the idea there is all about fast repairs. It's designed to be hot swapped.
Swap, okay.
So a trained technician can just, pull the failed one out and pop a new one in, all while the system is still running. It minimizes downtime for maintenance. Plus, you see it's TAA compliant. That's a big clue.
Right, for government contracts.
Exactly. It tells you it's aimed at government or other places where the origin of the components is a really big deal.
Let's stick with that for a second, because the market side of this is where a huge wrinkle appears. This unit, the CM-4RPS, is listed at $1,030.
Mm-hmm.
But the vendor, HTTE Supply, is basically waving a giant red flag. It's approaching end-of-life status, EOL.
And that is the critical insight for anyone operating these systems. EOL status forces you into some very difficult decisions.
Because you can't get them anymore.
Right. The vendor is straight up telling customers to stock up now because quantities are limited. So you have to spend budget and find storage space today for parts you might not need for years.
That's the real cost of guaranteeing uptime then. It's not just the purchase price.
Not at all.
And looking at what else the vendor offers, they call themselves a 25-year global home. There's a whole family of these things. We see the 1-rack dual redundant PSU for $700, and then a bigger 6RU version that jumps to $7,750. What does that price range tell us?
It shows you how pros have to scale their redundancy. The bigger the rack, the more critical the gear inside, and so the more you invest in protecting it. It's definitely not a one-size-fits-all solution.
So while digging through the specs, I found something a little confusing. It's clearly a PSU, but one description also calls it a 2-port output module 3G HDSD SDI via BNC with scaling. Why is a power supply also handling video scaling?
Yeah, that's a classic design compromise you see in these tightly packed systems.
To save space?
To save space. Rack space is prime real estate, so they combine functions. One module handles critical power backup and a basic video function like scaling. It just simplifies the whole setup.
Before we wrap, I should mention the vendor offers a lot of support here. Software updates, manuals, a Wolfpack helpline. They even have something called a WolfPid Ultra for real-time demos.
Which is important, but the real takeaway here, I think, is that we all focus on the glamorous stuff, the cameras, the screens, but a system's reliability really comes down to these unheralded, specialized parts, like the CM-4RPS.
So a final thought for you. The person has to maintain one of these systems. If this core power supply hits EOL, do you spend over $1,000 today to stock up? Or do you risk a total system failure tomorrow? That difficulty, maintaining proprietary hardware, that's the hidden pressure point in all of this critical infrastructure.